All right, so I've been a filmmaker a lot longer than I've been a YouTuber. When I started making films, YouTube was not even a thing. So my loyalty lies to the filmmaking side of me, even though I make my living here on YouTube. And that's why in this video, I'm going to tell you all the things that the other YouTube filmmakers don't want to tell you about, or they just don't want to talk about, or they think maybe nobody wants to hear about. Before we get started, check this out. This is my new camera. It just came out. Pretty sick, huh? This is the greatest camera I've ever used. In fact, it's game-changing. This camera changes everything. This is my dream camera. Okay, so all of these are titles for this new camera video, and I feel like they'd probably get you to click into it. It behooves me to tell you things that are gonna make you click my affiliate link to Amazon or B&H in the description so that I get like 1% of your sale. And since this is a $3,000 camera, that's gonna add up, especially since y'all love those gear videos. It's like candy for you. So number one, that new camera that just came out, it's part of our job to tell you that it's great.
He's full of shit.
Look, it might be a great camera. I don't talk about gear in glowing terms unless I actually love it, and I'm sure most YouTube filmmakers are the same. But still, you gotta recognize that bias that is present in YouTube as well as all other media, that there are incentives going on behind the scenes. So think about, do you need the new camera? Is that the best investment? Versus if you're a narrative filmmaker, which I hope you are if you're watching this channel, putting that money in front of the camera, investing in wardrobe, cast, lunch for the day, extra time on your location, renting the camera instead of buying it. How many of your favorite filmmakers are picking up the camera and using it on set? Is Quentin Tarantino swapping out lenses? No, of course not. They're not technicians. They don't care about how the camera works and all the individual features. That's why they bring on a DP. All right, let's carry on. Look at how dreary it is out here. It's been raining for days. So I'm stuck inside making YouTube vids. Let's add some mood here and play a royalty-free record I just so happen to have. You know what rocks about having a tiny, tiny little office is that if you took out one thing, suddenly, even if the office was spotless and all organized, everything is a disaster. There is stuff every single direction that you look at, and then you get to spend an hour cleaning your office. Let's see if we can mount this guy to this guy. Brutal truth number two. You know that saying, your network is your net worth? In film, that's very true. Your network is gonna make or break your career. It's not a total meritocracy where your craft, your talents is going to be the thing that makes you just stand out from everybody. That's not to say you shouldn't be cultivating these skills. You should absolutely be working on improving your craft, your ability, practicing, making new films. But if you can't demonstrate and get that ability in front of the right people, then it's going to halt your career for a long time. To get to the next level, you've got to network to the next level and continue maintaining those relationships. Networking isn't like a sleazy thing. It's really just about friendships. This is an entire industry built on just being able to trust and rely on other people and feel comfortable with other people too, because we're making art here and you don't want to be creative and vulnerable in front of people that you don't ultimately trust. Now, to piggyback on this idea, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that do pretty well talking about how to make a film by yourself. I've done a couple of them. They both did pretty well. They're really fun to make too. And while it is useful to do that every now and then, whether you're a total beginner and you're just trying to like dip your toes into the world of filmmaking and make sure that you understand the basics before you bring other people around, or if you're a working pro and you just want the opportunity to be creative and practice, flex your muscles, it's great. But this is a collaborative medium ultimately, and you have to be working with other people if you're trying to make live action narrative films. Working with other people is what separates you from the hobbyists. Professionals collaborate, hobbyists work alone. I would say all the most successful people that I went to USC with not only were talented, but they were really good at networking. Sometimes that means they're just naturally extroverted. Sometimes it means they just put in the hustle and made that an important part of work. To be honest, that's how I became an editor, was I started prioritizing networking. I'm not good at it. I'm naturally an introvert. I'm a recluse socially. That's probably hurt my career. But when I decided I do need to become an editor, the best way to do that is to meet more editors and producers and learn what editors need to do. I made it a priority to start networking and reaching out to people every day, even though I didn't want to do it. I figured if I could just reach out to 2 different people every day, maybe 1 out of 20 will actually get back to me. Over the long run, I'll meet a ton of people and somebody will have an opportunity for me. And that's exactly what happened. It didn't take all that long. And I wish I would have kept doing it because I'd have the biggest network in LA by now. Editing takes forever. There's just no way around it. And if it's not taking you a long time on your film, then there's a good chance that you might be rushing the edit of your film, which is something that I see over and over again. Most people, I watch their film and it's like, you should have put an extra final 10% of work into this film. And there's no rush in the edit. When I did my second feature film, we made it for like 12 grand. I was like 21 or something. I spent a straight up year editing that thing. I had to teach myself After Effects just to finish it because we had made so many mistakes shooting the thing that I had to learn how to like rotoscope people out, flip them 180 degrees because we had crossed the 180 degree line. Kind of a nightmare. But in retrospect, I'm glad because learning After Effects that way is what helped me get some early editing jobs and stand out in those roles. But what a luxury to be able to take that much time to tell part of your story. You've already done all the work of raising the money, producing, directing, casting, getting all these people in the same place to shoot some footage. Why would you rush it at the very end? When I used to run track, he used to tell us to run through the line. Never stop your race at the finish line. That means you're gonna be slowing down before you cross over and you're gonna run a worse race. If you run through the line, you'll have run the fastest time you could have run before you start slowing down. That's what you gotta do with editing. And I know it gets a little demoralizing because you start getting such serious diminishing returns the closer you get to the end of the film, where in the beginning you're spending 1 hour editing your film and you're making huge changes like moving entire scenes around, swapping takes, all the fun stuff. Then you get to the final days or week of the edit and you're spending an hour to make the film like 0.1% better, and you just get those diminishing returns. At a certain point, you're only making edits just to please yourself. Nobody else is going to notice anything. And at that point, it's probably time to hang up the hat and call it a day. But until then, that final 10% of polish that you put into the edit adds so much to the film. We will notice that stuff. But look, I get it. I empathize. I've been a professional editor for a long time. I like to think I'm very fast editing, but I also have an editor who helps me with these videos. And when I jump in to polish them up at the end, I still spend way too much time. And I'm like, why is it taking so long to finish this video? We all feel that way, especially when I'm doing unscripted videos like this, where I'm just kind of running off bullet points and ranting. But that's why I'm making my life a lot easier by using Descript to edit this one. The great thing about Descript, especially for talking head content like this, is that it automatically transcribes your entire video right when you bring it in. You can make edits directly in this transcription like you're editing a Word document. For example, let's get rid of relationships, friendships. The entire industry built on just being able to trust and rely on other people. And it does such a good job with skipping those words. It always sounds clean. And Descript has Underlord, which is their built-in AI assistant that can manage all this stuff automatically. For example, if I click edit for clarity, if I'm rambling, if I'm repeating myself, if I'm doing filler words, it's going to start cutting those out automatically and just ignoring them just like I did here. And as you can see, I've already done it on this script, but probably my favorite feature of Descript is the repurposing options. Look, if you go down to Underlord, repurpose, create clips, pick a template, 20 seconds, and let's say I want some classical music. Doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It might be a 5-minute short film. Pretty cool. I love it. So knowing that you're getting stock footage, music, images, sound effects, all right here, that alone saves you a bunch of money versus having your editing program and then paying extra for stock libraries. And you can get started with it for free if you want to play around with it. Just visit the link in the description or scan the QR code right here and try out Descript. Free 99. Doesn't get any better than that, folks. Let's get back to it. This one I'll keep short because I think I need to make an entire video about it. The gist of it is, nobody will care about your film unless you give us a reason to. The thing is, there's so many short films out there. Making one more film in and of itself isn't going to turn anybody's head. The way that you can make people care about your film is by giving us something new, something fresh, something interesting, something with a star in it. That doesn't need to be a person, but it's got to have a star. There's a lot of ways to think about this. And the ultimate litmus test for this is, it's hard to do, but if you were able to completely remove yourself from the film and look at it objectively on YouTube or at a film festival or wherever it is it something that would wow you? Something that would make you want to send it to people that you know? Something that would stick in your head? Something you just can't get rid of? Then you're onto something. People are going to care about your film. Congrats, go make it. But I think most people don't have that. I think most people just want to go make a film, so they go make the film. I've been guilty of this so many times. That's why it's best practice to be writing all the time, because that's how you're really going to set yourself up for success in the long term, by having films that actually have stories that matter on deck at all times. This is something that I'm still working on. I'll have phases where I'm writing all the time, phases where I'm not writing at all because there's way too much stuff going on. So I digress. We'll make another video about this topic. Look at this. Clean. No clutter. I feel like I can't work sometimes until I just get all the clutter out of the way. Here's another brutal truth. Just stacking these brutal truths on you. Most indie filmmakers don't work in film. Now, of course, some work in the film industry, grips, DPs, whatever, and then maybe they're making indie films on the side. I'm gonna turn this light down a little bit. So while that's true for some of us, I would say that most of us make our living in adjacent industries. I'm talking about corporate videos, commercials, social media stuff, education, YouTube. I mean, these are all way bigger employers than film and television.
I was kind of a producer of these movies that were acclaimed at these big film festivals. And then the best job that I could get after that was still just being the line producer of branded content at College Humor. And so I worked at College Humor.
I did some College Humor,
yeah,
some edits.
We all did.
And some of us work just random day jobs. For the longest time, when I graduated college, I was making films all the time, but I was working as a waiter, I was working as a valet, I was working as a dog sitter. Anything that I could do to make money, I was doing. And eventually, through that, I accumulated enough editing skills and grew my network enough that I could start working as an editor, and that actually became pretty lucrative. But again, this is like an adjacent industry. I started doing corporate videos for Netflix. Technically, it was like the film industry, but adjacently, you know? And then after that, I was doing like sizzle reels, again, for films and television, but just to like pitch the things, not actually cutting the episode that was going to air. And then I got into ads and social ads for Apple TV and all that. And this was good. Like, it was cushy. I got to the point where I actually felt comfortable living in this incredibly expensive city of Los Angeles on my own. And that is one of the big benefits of these adjacent industry jobs, is you're able to make a real living, have stability in your life, which is so much harder to find when you're working show to show in the actual film industry, especially right now with the upheaval of the industry in LA. It's so hard to find consistent work for a lot of people out there. I think my best month ever editing was the same year that the YouTube channel blew up, and I pulled in like $17,000 in a month just from editing commercials, and I might have had a couple days shooting stuff too. But this is all just freelance. And granted, that's before taxes. That's taking into account that I'm living in this horrifically expensive city. But still, if you did that every month, that's a serious living that you're making. I've actually been thinking about making a course that kind of systematically shows you how to build an editing career, especially if you're living in a city. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll work on that. But this isn't just me. This is many people I know out here who are actively making films, have all kinds of jobs. So I just want to quell the expectation that if you pursue making films forever and then you move out to Los Angeles, your only option for making a living is being on set. That's certainly an option. A lot of people do it, but there's plenty of ways to make a living using these skills in adjacent industries. And those tend to provide more reliable pay if you get a foot in the door doing, say, corporate, commercial, social work.
Come down out here. So lastly, you will never make it.
That's not to say you won't be successful. I don't know anybody that truly feels like they've made it, even though I know some people who are very successful. Your definition of making it will constantly be in flux, and as you become more successful, what making it looks like stays proportionally far away from you, so that you'll never actually make it there. And that goes with many things. Your budget for your film will always feel too small. The amount of time you have on set will always feel too short. And that's just the nature of the beast. But in a way, it's relieving to just accept that, because it helps you embrace the present moment and just realize that like you are doing it, like you have made it wherever you are, if you're pursuing this still. Because you know what? Filmmaking is not saying action and cut on set every day of your life and drinking beers after rap. 99% of your life as a filmmaker is sitting in this office, sending emails, rewriting a line of dialogue 10 times and not really feeling like it's good still, or doing any other tedious, unglamorous task that leads up to that moment of getting to say action and cut on your film. And a lot of times it's just doing absolutely nothing and just staring at the wall, being a neurotic mess, wondering if the tiny iota of success that you found was purely a fluke and that you actually have no talent. But it's all part of the fun.
Are you okay? No.
The reason I wanted to end on this note was when I was younger, I was making movies all the time, but at the same time, all I could think about was the idea of making it. And I thought of it as some kind of magical moment where everything would click, change, I'd have money, I'd have opportunities to make whatever movies I wanted to. And I don't know, like not be a loser, I guess. But it was such a flawed way of thinking about the situation, because now I look back on that time of my life and it was one of the most creatively fulfilling times of my life. I was making so many films with some of my best friends, having such a good time. Even though we didn't have money, we didn't have resources, we didn't have all these things, it was awesome. And that is making it. I mean, I had already made it. And that, by the way, is why I made Wrapped in 30 Days, my 30-day film school, because I wanted to give people the same experience that I had when we were making a short film every single month for the channel. And that time was so valuable to me, not only as a filmmaker, where it instilled this confidence in me that, hey, I can write and direct and produce something in a month whenever I want. I don't have to have any ideas, I can figure it out. But it was also just one of the most fun times in my life. And that's the experience that I want to give everybody else. This is about embracing the process, not trying to get to a specific result. I mean, that is what indirectly led to my editing career in the first place and starting this YouTube channel, all these things. So that's why I encourage people to make a short film in a month. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It might be a 5-minute short film that is a stepping stone to your masterpiece. It might not be the thing that helps you make it, but it might be the thing that takes you further on the journey and reminds you why you're doing this all in the first place. By the way, I'm running the next session of Wrapped in 30 Days starting April 1st. So if you want to make a crowd-pleasing short film of your own from blank page to finishing the film, join the wait list below. There's still time to get in there and you can save your spots because they will be limited. So there it is. Those are the brutal truths. Hopefully I didn't scare you off from going out there and making a film. Trust me, it's very fun. I highly recommend doing it. Okay, that's it. See you guys.